Hello, my Foonatics! Long time no see. You all were aware that I was staying in a hotel for training for work. After that, I then went on an impromptu holiday with my boyfriend to a remote part of the UK and had a lovely little holiday. I lost contact with the entire world because it was so remote, but that was kind of intentional. But I'm really sorry to everyone in the PPL and especially Shroomraver because I was super late with my week 4 battle, which is this video now. It's only just going up. I apologize so much. I'm just really sorry that it happened like that. I've been really busy and I am now not as busy. So hopefully I'll try and keep on top of things. And I apologize to you guys as well because you want to see how I'm going to be doing in these things. But we've got it here today. And oh my lord, it's a good one. Well worth the wait. Well worth the wait. It is against Shroomraver, who is an awesome person, a good friend of mine, who I have met in real life. He is not just a figment of the internet. He does actually exist, which is cool to know. Yeah, check his channel out, please. I will leave a link in the description. If you like my content, go and check his out, because he goes to places where even I would fear to tread. No, he's got some great content, so do yourself a favor and check that out. As with the previous videos, I'm going to go through the team first and then do the battle. If you're only interested in the battle, you can skip to it with the time link in the description. But if you are real, then stay and check out what goes on in my noggin when I'm making these teams and stuff. So, let's get into it. Looking at Shroomraver's team, he's got Parasect Germain. He's got some cool Pokemon on there. Interesting fact, his #1 pick, which was Latias, was the thing that I really wanted as my first pick and did not get it. But I've ended up with Jirachi instead that has done quite a lot so far, so I'm not too upset. I'm going to let Shroom have that for now. But anyways, yeah, looking at his team, the first thing that I did and that I normally always do is check what can Tyrantrum destroy, or what can't Tyrantrum destroy, really. And there's one thing on his team that sticks out, pretty much the one thing that he would have to bring to stop Tyrantrum, which is Crocodile. He would probably have to bring a defensive Crocodile. And seeing as though there's only one thing that can stop Tyrantrum, I thought, yeah, this is the kind of battle where Tyrantrum probably wants to come along for the ride. And I'll just have to try and support it with stuff that can deal with the Crocodile a bit better. But anyway, the set that I wanted to go for, I considered setup, but looking at the things that he was quite likely to bring, they all outspeed Tyrantrum and can kill him quite easily. Stuff like Latias, like Tornadus can do a lot of damage, and Blazer can even... he doesn't have a great time trying to set up. So I thought the best way to do this would be just to stick a Scarf on him and go for Head Smash as much as I can, because it is just the switch in with the Crocodile that I thought might be an issue. So yeah, I've got the Head Smash on there, of course. I just went with Adamant Scarf because it outspeeds. With this set, I outspeed everything on his team that isn't Scarfed. And I've got a few things left over, EVs left over to maybe put into defense so that I can take a Bullet Punch a little bit better from Scizor maybe, or something like that. I don't know. But anyway, yeah, this set I've got Head Smash, and really the only other move that I might need is Superpower to hit Crocodile a bit harder. I decided Toxic as well, because if I fling a Toxic on Crocodile, that could probably help. But Superpower obviously will... Superpower will potentially do more damage. Toxic might do more damage over time. I don't know. And then I put Fire Fang on there, just because it does slightly more damage to Scizor, but not really noticeably, because obviously I'm Rockhead, not Strongjaw. But if it's like... Tyrantrum's my last Pokemon and Scizzle's his last Pokemon, it's just nice to be able to click Fire Fang instead of Head Smash. I don't know. So yeah, that's the first thing. That's the first thing that I brought. And then I was thinking of other things that match up well against a team, and maybe things that can take on Crocodile a bit better. Seeing as though I think he's going to be bringing a defensive or a bulky Crocodile, the next thing I thought would be a good idea was actually Jolteon. Jolteon does a lot of damage to his team. The things that can take the electric type moves well, being Latias and Crocodile is obviously immune, they take like over 50% from a signal beam. Defensive Crocodile takes minimum like 2/3 from an expert belt signal beam from this set. So this guy is really powerful. I've stuck Hidden Power Fire on there with the expert belt as well that does massive damage to Mega Scizor. This guy is actually a huge threat, and he's probably going to be doing more damage than the Tyrantrum. That's what I thought anyway. Really, if Sylveon comes, then he won't be doing too much, but I'm not sure if Sylveon will be coming. My team has a very good matchup against fairy types because I've got Talonflame that generally can set up on them. I've got Jirachi as a really nice switch in, and I've also got Nidoqueen as a really good switch in. So I'm not even sure if Sylveon will be coming. But yeah, this guy might lure in the Crocodile, and then I can get that massive hit off that I need to allow Tyrantrum to do more things. But more likely, this is going to be a cleaner at the end of the game than enabling Tyrantrum to do stuff. So the only other thing that could potentially take hits would be an Assault Vest user, or maybe an Electabuzz as well if it comes, but I'm not sure if it would be coming. That would be a bit of an oddball thing. But yeah, like an AV Armaldo as well could maybe take a few hits. That would be interesting to see. But this guy, definitely good, momentum gaining, and just a good matchup in terms of offense. The next thing. This guy is a very bulky Blastoise, not max special attack because I just didn't think I needed it. With this investment, I can 2-hit KO almost any variant of Jellicent with the Dark Pulse so that I can get Rapid Spins off. I wanted him as well because I wanted the Scold for the Crocodile. This does ridiculous damage to defensive Crocodile. I think it's probably an Oko. And I've got enough speed to outspeed an uninvested Crocodile as well. So that's where the EVs come into play. And I just wanted it to be really bulky so that it could take hits from that Crocodile as well. And in case he did choose to invest in like HP and attack or something for his Crocodile rather than defense. But yeah, so there's my spin. And then the last move, Aquajet, just in case his Crook has a bit of speed, I can get some chip damage before Blastoise might be going down. And also for contingency against Blaziken. I'm modest, so it's not going to be doing huge damage. But it does do like 40% to a Blaziken, which if it's Life Orb, Agility or something like that, I will be able to whittle it down. So that's my Blastoise. I needed the spin on there because of the next thing, which is my Talonflame. Talonflame, again, matches up really well. So I've got, in my head, I've got 3 huge threats to his team. Tyrantrum, Jolteon, and Talonflame. And I think having those 3, one of them probably is going to get overlooked a little bit. And the one that I would have thought would be overlooked would be Jolteon, just because Tyrantrum's the most obvious threat, and then Talonflame, you're always going to prepare for Talonflame because it's scary. But anyway, it matches up really well because he's only got 1 resist in Electabuzz, which might not even be coming, and it can set up on so many things. What I like about it is, this is not the correct set actually, because I do not have leftovers. I had no item and Acro. What I like about it is that even without defense investment, only with HP investment, this is an easy switch in on Mega Scizor. Mega Scizor cannot do anything unless it Toxics me. So I can easily come in on that and try to set up or fire off Will-O-Wisps or whatever. So that's really good. And I think Mega Scizor probably will be coming as an emergency check to Tyrantrum with the Bullet Punch. So yeah, that's one really good thing. With a specially defensive set, I can set up on even things like Jellicent and stuff like that. I thought Jellicent might be coming because it blocks spins relatively well. And yeah, I just thought it could be coming. Oh, we've been disconnected, but I can work offline, so that's all right. So yeah, I thought Jellicent might be coming just as like a spin block, and to be able to stop some of my other Pokemon as well. It's really bulky, and yeah, I don't know. I thought it could be coming. So yeah, this can set up on it. The things that I would worry about, maybe defensive Crook with Stone Edge. If it doesn't have Stone Edge, then Crook isn't very scary at all to Talonflame. And yeah, then maybe Electabuzz again if it comes, but it might not even come, and I thought it would be silly to really prepare for Electabuzz because I'd look stupid if I was like, I'm so scared of Electabuzz. But yeah, if I can get a Wisp on an Electabuzz, I can whittle it down. And I thought Swords Dance was more appropriate because I won't need to be tanking too many physical hits that I can't tank already. So Swords Dance seemed like a better one to be more immediately threatening on this Talonflame. Next Pokemon. We're getting towards the end of this team. I've got all my threats now, and I need switch-ins to stuff. So this was the first option. This is my switch into Latias to Sylveon. And it's mainly just for momentum gaining. It's not really going to do too much work. Ironhead's there for Sylveon, and then U-turn is pretty much, if it's not Sylveon, I'm probably going to be U-turning. Wish Protect to keep myself healthy, and the Colbur Berry, because I built this set and I was like, oh yeah, this is great. And then I looked at his team and I was like, wait a minute. He's got a Crocodile and he's got a Sizzle, which are both powerful pursuit trappers. Which I can't really do anything against and would have to switch out. So Colbur Berry is just for that pursuit, which worried me because I did want this to stick around a bit as that momentum gainer, getting those free switches into the big threats that that Shroom would have to fear. I went especially defensive just so that I could take on Latias better because I know that I resist its stabs, but Shroom is probably going to put something like Shadow Ball on there or something to hit me super effectively, so I thought especially defensive would be better. And then finally, along the same vein is Togekiss, which is fully defensive. This can also be a switch on Latias, and the main reason I wanted it was really as a switch on Crook. Because I don't have great switch-ins on Crook. Crook was the thing that I was most scared about. The thing is, Shroom is kind of forced into using it as a defensive mon or more bulky just because of my Tyrantrum. But if he didn't do that, if he did something else, then I might struggle with an offensive Crook. So I brought this to take on its stabs well. Stone Edge still does a lot, but it just forces him to predict a bit more. It forces him to go for the Stone Edge rather than either of its stabs, and I can play around that a bit more. And I didn't put a fire move on this because I didn't want to take out Sizzle. If Sizzle's coming in, I want to Baton Pass into Talonflame and get potential setup opportunity. Sizzle being alive is actually a good thing for me because Talonflame is an easy switch in and I can set up on it all day. So Baton Pass is preferable to a fire move. And then Defog because I wasn't happy to just rely on the spin on Blastoise, and especially when Talonflame I do think is quite important here. Was there anything else? Air Slash I thought was the best stab move just because, as I said, he's only got one resist to flying types, which is Electabuzz, which might not even be coming, and defensive because it's Crook taking on. The only other thing is Rocky Helmet because I thought I'd be getting knocked off soon anyway if I'm switching into Crook and the like. So Rocky Helmet seemed to be the most useful item that I could potentially put on there. So that's the team. Thank you very much for watching this bit. I hope you understand what I was going for there. Let's get into the battle. Okay, so on screen you can see the team that Dave or Shroom brought. There were lots of things that I expected. I thought that Sizzle would be coming. Obviously, the Crocodile's there for my Tyrantrum. Latias is there. Defog option, presumably. And then we see Tornadus as well, which I thought definitely could be coming. It might be Scarf or something strange like that. Maybe with Tailwind. Don't know. Blaziken is very scary. And it's another reason why I wanted Togekiss because I can take the fighting type hits a bit better. I've got something switch-ins for fire type hits if it's like a Scarf Blaziken or something like that, so I can play around with that. But you see the man at the end there, the Electabuzz. I have so much respect for Shroom for bringing it. I think it's a really cool Pokemon. I love Electabuzz, and seeing that, it threw me off a little bit because I was a little bit worried about it. It means that Talonflame will definitely have a harder time sweeping, and Jolteon doesn't like seeing it at all either because its attacks with the Expert Belt are just not boosted very highly. So it'll be unstab and relatively low power moves without any item boosting. So we'll really need to whittle that Electabuzz for some of my powerhouse or my Wincons to do anything. So anyway, just thinking about leads, there were a few things that I could lead with. I could have led with Jolteon. but I feel like that's definitely a late game cleaner, so I want to preserve that. And I could have led with Tyrantrum, but it's too easy a switch-in on Crocodile, and if he leads with Crocodile, that's actually not great, because my switch-ins aren't amazing. I'd want to switch into Togekiss, and it doesn't like taking Stone Edges. So I thought my best lead was Blastoise. It matches up well with almost all of his team. The exceptions are Electabuzz and Tornadus. Tornadus can carry Grass Knot. Everything else, it hits really hard. Dark Pulse for Latias and Scald for everything else with the potential burn. But if he leads with Electabuzz, obviously I don't want to stay in on that. I probably could take a hit, but it's definitely not worth it. So anyway, let's see what happens. So yeah, anyway, I just want to say again, Shroom's really cool. Please check out his channel. Links are in the description. Turns out he leads with Electabuzz. Course he does. Course he does. So poor Blastoise is not going to be able to get his Mega off here. I'm going to switch out, and I'm actually going to go into Jirachi, predicting him to predict my switch. I'm not going to stay in on Electabuzz with my Blastoise. So he goes for a Hidden Power, and we see here it's super effective against Jirachi. No doubt in my mind that that's going to be Hidden Power Ground, because my immunities in Jolteon and Nidoqueen are both weak to it, and Jirachi is weak to it too. So I think that's Hidden Power Ground. Especially defensive Jirachi can eat it up. I'm going to throw up a Wish here, just seeing what he wants to do. We see there he is not choiced, so that's really, really good information to have. He's probably a Violite, which makes a lot of sense if he wants it to be more of a check to my Talonflame, and also it will be able to take hits from Jolteon better. So it's a really nice offensive answer to those Pokemon. And it's maybe going to cause my team some problems, because he'll get a lot of momentum from that Electabuzz. I'm going to U-turn here because I know that I'm faster than an Adamant Scizor, and I'm not scared of Pursuit because I do have the Colbur Berry on for that. I'm going to go straight into my Togekiss because I know that he's not going for a Bullet Punch. He's either going to go for a knockoff or a U-turn here. And we do see the knockoff there. So the Rocky Helmet has done the job that it was meant to do by just getting a tiny bit of chip damage on one turn. And now I'm going to switch out in case he does want to go for a Bullet Punch. But he's going to withdraw there. It makes sense. I could have carried a Fire move, and being defensive Togekiss, I would have been able to tank a Bullet Punch. He ends up going into Tornadus. And I'm especially defensive Talonflame. I could take hits, but I don't really want to stay in on this. So I'm going to switch. We both switch. He's obviously fearing like a really offensive Talonflame that could take out the Tornadus. So this isn't a particularly bad matchup for me. I've got my Jirachi, which is my Latias check, in on Latias, so I'm just going to go for a U-turn here. He does show the Shadow Ball, which I thought Shroom might bring, but it's of no concern because I can tank it really easily. So I'm going to go into my Spadef Talonflame, get a burn on this Latias. I can whittle it a bit, and we see here that Latias throws up a Wish, which is cool. That's not necessarily something I was expecting, but it's not something that I'm particularly scared of either. I'm going to take this opportunity just to SD. Not really sure what he wants to do here, but it turns out he wants the Wish on his Latias. Nothing else has really taken too much damage so far, so that makes sense. But I do get the SD off, and now I'm just going to roost because I'm thinking he's probably going to go into Electabuzz. That makes a lot of sense to me. It will force me out. And yeah, I would have thought that would be the way to go. But Shroom seems to be quite adamant that Psyshock is his play, and we do this a number of times. I want to be able to get that roost off on the turn that he does switch, just so that my Talonflame is as healthy as it can be, so I can switch in on some attacks and things. But no, Shroom is just staying in and clicking that Psyshock button, and I'm alright with this because all it's doing is whittling his Latias. If he gets a crit, I'm still not scared because he'd have to get another crit to be able to take me out. But at this point, I get a bit tired, maybe a bit impatient, because if he predicted this or made a different play, it could have gone badly. But I just want to take out the Latias. I'm still at a decent amount of health, so I don't think that that's a bad thing at all. And Latias being gone is great. I think Shroom was not too upset about it going down just because I didn't bring rocks, so he didn't need to defog anything. So that makes sense. But anyway, I'm going to go into Hair Gel here on the predicted Volt Switch. This series of plays is because I predicted Electabuzz's Volt Switch. What I want to do is to get Jirachi in on Electabuzz, and if I switched it in on the Volt Switch, obviously it wouldn't be Electabuzz anymore, it would be a different Pokemon that was switched in. I want this because it will give me opportunity to go for a Wish with my Jirachi and get it back up to a nice amount of health, rather than switching in on a Volt Switch, being taken down to about 50%, and then having to switch out as a big threat comes in. So I'm able to throw up the Wish here, and Tornadus comes in. That's alright. I can kind of scout what it wants to do. I'm not too worried about it because I have a number of ways of revenging it with Jolteon and scaring it out with my Talonflame. But anyway, I'm going to U-turn here, and we see again that this is not choice, so that's really good information. I'm guessing that Icy Wind play was to get some damage on my Jolteon and be able to slow it down on the switch so that he would then outspeed the next turn and be able to do something about it, which was a really interesting play. But because I U-turn, I'm able to tank the Icy Wind, get my Jolteon in for free, and now I try and make a clever switch by going into Blastoise, predicting his Crook to eventually hit the field to tank, to be immune to an electric type move. But that's not what happens. In fact, Electabuzz just comes in, and poor Blastoise is cock-blocked again. He can't get that Mega off. That was a really not good situation. I shouldn't have really done that. I should have probably just clicked Volt Switch anyway, but I'm quite scared of the Crook. I don't know what set it is, and as I say, my switch-ins aren't brilliant. But anyway, I get paralyzed with a Thunderbolt on my Jirachi, and this is making me a bit scared because it means that if I get paralyzed on the Protect, then I'm not going to be at good health at all. Shamu's coming here. In here, that's a Blaziken. That's a pretty scary thing to come in right now. I can go into Togekiss and hope to do something. Togekiss is kind of expendable. I feel more so than my Jirachi, because Jirachi is actually acting as a nice switch in for the Electabuzz at the moment, which I feel is more important. I feel like this thing, I've got more checks to it than I do to the Electabuzz. Electabuzz is harder for me to take down because I'm not as prepared for it. Whereas this, I've got a number of things for it. Anyway, Togekiss goes down to that Flare Blitz. We haven't seen an item. I don't know what it is, and making me a bit nervous. But I'm going to go into Blastoise in case it might be Scarfed, or probably not Banded. It would have done more damage to Togekiss if it was Banded. So I eventually get my Mega off, and he has no switch-ins on Scald. I was like, if there were no switch-ins, anything might get burnt, and nothing really takes it well, so that's really good. So I can get the Scald off here. Tornadus comes in, I'm like, ha, that's going to take a butt ton, and it just doesn't. So that's an AV Tornadus if I've ever seen one. I switch into Specially Defensive Talonflame, hoping to take a Hurricane or whatever might be coming my way. It turns out it's a Grass Knot. Shroom obviously not wanting to rely on Hurricane's accuracy, which makes absolute sense, and that would have done a load of damage to Blastoise. So I'm going to go for an aggro here and miss out on the KO by a hair. That was so bad, but then he misses the Hurricane. So I can forgive the roll not going in my favour for the miss the Hurricane, I guess. But that was very scary. Talonflame is really useful still. He ends up preserving the Tornadus and switching into his Electabuzz that turns out to have static. So now I've got two bloody things paralyzed by flipping RNG from this stupid Electabuzz. And they both are things that rely on their recovery. If I don't get that recovery off because of a Parahax or something, that could spell disaster. Obviously, Talonflame doesn't mind being slowed down because it's got Gale Wings. But I make an offensive switch here, predicting the electric type move and going into my Tyrantrum. I know that Superpower is a relatively safe play here because if he does want to stay in with his Electabuzz, it will do huge damage, and that means that Jolteon has a fantastic time. But if he does want to make the switch, the obvious switch into Crocodile, then Superpower is by far the superior play because Head Smash is not going to be doing too much. So having made that prediction, I'm feeling quite happy with myself. I go into Blastoise to see what this Crook wants to do. I was thinking maybe the Stealth Rock or maybe an Earthquake, which Blastoise can do fine with. We see Toxic here, and on the following turn, we see that that's actually more of a problem than it first seems, just because this Crook has Protect as well. So that means anytime I come in on the Crook wanting to spin, I'm going to have to be taking 18% with just poison damage, which is not nice, plus any attack he might go for on the switch. So that is less than ideal, but it does mean that I get a free Scald off right now, and I like going for my Scalds with my Mega Blastoise because I just love seeing that health bar drop. Even the Tornadus will get dropped now because, as you remember, it's on like 1 HP. So Blaziken is going to be the nominated drinker of this Scald, and it does not like the taste of this Scald at all. So Blastoise can get that kill there. I was really hoping Tornadus was coming in here because I would be able to use that Aqua Jet that I put on just to take it out. It would have been an opportunity, but no, unfortunately, the flipping Electabuzz comes back in, and this is becoming the bane of my life. And I love Shroom for that, because Electabuzz is really cool, and he's doing such a good job. It's the speed and the decent power, and with a Violite, the decent bulk as well. It's a really cool mon, and so much props to Shroom for seeing that potential. But anyway, yeah, the Scizor comes in. I'm not going to play around with getting parried on the U-turn with my Jirachi. I'm just going to switch straight into my Talonflame because I know that this is an opportunity for me to roost up with my Talonflame, something that I really want to do. After having roosted, obviously losing my flying type, that U-turn is no longer quad resisted, it's only singularly resisted, which means that I take a bit more and I'm still in the yellow. I want to be in the green just because it looks nicer. I think actually I didn't realise at the time, but I was over half health, so if rocks were up I would have still survived, but I want a bit more leeway than that, so I'm just going to roost again. I don't get powered, which is great. He does get a crit with the hidden power ground. I'm not too upset because I'm still at decent health there. I'm going to go into my Jirachi here, and Shroom makes a play going for the Volt Switch, meaning that I lose my momentum. At this stage, I feel like Jirachi is the best sack to Crook because I don't have switch-ins right now. So I'm just going to U-turn here. Maybe he'll try to do something like go for a Toxic or try to go for something else. And we see actually he does. He goes for Rocks, which is fine. It means that I get, hopefully, if I don't get parried, a nice hit with U-turn. I do not get parried, so that's good. So it's going to do a little bit of damage, trying to get that Crook into that range for Signal Beam for Jolteon would be grand. That's really what I want. But I'm actually going to go into Blastoise here. Obviously, I take the Rocks damage, I'm going to take the Poison damage, and then I'm going to take the Poison damage on the following turn because Crook has Protect. And Shroom is... it was clever. It was very clever because getting the lefties as well with the Crook has meant that he's now put himself slightly outside of Jolteon's Signal Beam range, I think. So I do go for the Rapid Spin. On this following turn, I'm just going to go for a Scold, because if Shroom sees this as a free switch into Electabuzz, I would much rather get the Scold damage on Electabuzz than get the spin-off, because if I can do that, then Jolteon will be able to clean up later on this match. But it turns out that Scizor comes in, and I get the burn, which is absolutely great, because it means that this turn, I will be able to get the Rapid Spin off. There's absolutely no way that the Bullet Punch will take me out, and I'm going to be outspeeding this Scizor. So yeah, I can get that Rapid Spin off. Also, good to note, my Blastoise has been threatening that Crocodile because of my speed investment. I think I predicted exactly right with he's a completely uninvested Crocodile. He looks to be fully defensive. So yeah, my Blastoise has been threatening it out, which is great. Exactly as intended. I do lose Blastoise to the U-turn there. As Chicago comes in, I bring in my Jolteon and just go for a Thunderbolt here because I want to get some chip on the potential Electabuzz switch in. If he goes into the Crocodile, I can just Signal Beam there because at this stage, if I get that signal beam damage on Crook, then my Tyrantrum should be able to win. So he's just getting the chip on the Electabuzz or the Crook, but Shroom is being very coy because he knows that's exactly what I need, and those are the 2 Pokemon that he's preserving and bringing in as his check. So he's doing the right thing, but I feel like I've got him on the back foot. I feel like he's having to make the plays and having to sack things that he probably doesn't really want to sack because they are good, but he can't afford to lose the other things on his team. So yeah, that's what's going on at the moment. Jirachi goes down. I feel like Jirachi's done its job. I had no idea that it would last this long in the battle. I was so happy with its performance. It was so great, very reliable, even though it's paralyzed. In this turn, I go back into Tyrantrum. Again, I make the easy play of going for the Superpower because Head Smash just wouldn't do as much as Superpower in this instance. I'm really sorry to all my people who want to see me go for Head Smash, but Superpower, it's just, I can't do it, guys. I needed to go for Superpower there. I'm sure you'll forgive me. I'm sure. Please. Yeah, so I'm going to switch out my Tyrantrum right now. Going to go into my Talonflame, and I am now realizing that Talonflame probably just was this because it's got Protect, it's got Toxic, it's got Stealth Rock, and presumably a stab move. So I feel like, seeing as though I've got Paralyzed, I'm actually kind of happy about that now because it can't Toxic me, and I do just beat this. I'm going to go for Willow to get some chip on something. Didn't work because I missed, but I can go for not a Para, an Acro. I'm not getting parried, and it's a miracle that how I haven't been parried so far, but I haven't. Just getting the status is enough, and enough RNG for me. So here I'm just going to go for Acro chip damage because that means that, again, Jolteon will hopefully be able to clean up the game. I could have gone into it here because I think that Jolteon will be able to take 1 hidden power ground. It's got decent natural special bulk. But instead, I do go into Tiny Hands and go for the Superpower to take out the Electabuzz, and from there, I will do a bit more chip damage to the Crook and then be able to take it out with the Signal Beam. Interestingly, no, he couldn't have saved himself here. If you got the static there, it could have been a different end game. But because I am able to get the Superpower off on this Crocodile, there was no way he was going to be able to get himself into a range where he could live a Signal Beam. If I had been parried, and then he brought in his Crook and killed me without me getting off that Superpower damage, then then Signal Beam, he could have protected on the Jolteon, and Signal Beam would have been, I think it's probably still would have KO'd because it does minimum 66% and he was under 50 when he came in. So I don't think, even with 2 protects, 1 on the Tyrantrum, 1 on the Jolteon, I don't think that he would be able to have got to 66%. He'd have got to 62%. So yeah, I think this was a clinched up game. So yeah, it turned out to be pretty close actually. It was a 1-0. Shroom played it really well. He identified his wing cons early in Electabuzz and Crocodile, but the offensive presence was there. I was able to keep my momentum because of beautiful Jirachi. Togekiss didn't do very much, but that's alright, we'll forgive it, because everything else worked out really nicely, and the things kind of did their job. Apart from, I would have really liked Crook to go down earlier so that I could do some big damage, but as I say, Shroom played really well. So we got a nice 1-0 there. I say nice because it felt very tense at the time. Those paras really had me on edge. I was very scared. Mewcastle United going on. We are 4-0. Really fantastic. Can't be happy with how things are going at the moment. The next opponent is Shardy. He is now the current league leader. He also won his 4th round match with an insane differential. His last 3 weeks have been absolutely terrifying. He's only got he's got 2 5-0s and a 6-0, I think, or something like that. Absolutely terrifying. He's got a better differential than me, so really scared. He's got a lot more experience than me in league play, so it's going to be the grudge match of the centuries. You need to tune in to see it. I'm papping myself, but yeah, please watch. I've been Fufu. You've been awesome, really awesome. Thanks for sticking around and watching this content. Goodbye.